Shankar Raman, whole-time director and chief financial officer of L&T, joins us right now on the show. Good having you, Mr. Raman. Thanks so much for joining in. We at ET now have had conflicting views from experts. So there's one part of experts who say that there is enough done on infrastructure spend, and there is another theory which says that capex, which should have been as high as 20%, has come in at a mere 5, 6, 7%, which is single digits and not that impressive to kickstart the investment cycle. What did you make of it?
Glass half full, half empty. I think the sector has received the attention and the allocation from the budget between roads and railways at 2.2 lakh crore is significant. But if you view it in the context of what the government wants to do in terms of on its own balance sheet, as well as on the balance sheets of the other entities through PPP or any such format, then maybe it is not as insignificant.
No, but I repeat, Mr. Raman, how are you seeing it? Are you seeing it half full or half empty? Or do you believe there has been enough done in order to increase order books of not just the premier company, but the others as well? I'm asking you to wear a sectoral hat right now.
Sure. I think the way I see it is, I think we need to count what the government's plan is, and hence I would like to see it as half full. There's always scope for something else to happen, but there's no point worrying about that. From a sectorial perspective, I think 10,000 kilometers of national highway and maybe 50,000 kilometers of roads in the rural areas, plus the electrification in the rural areas, plus the affordable housing, does give a fair bit of interesting opportunities for the sector. What's more important is how many of these companies are financially in a position to take advantage of these opportunities and move forward. My sense is, I think the large companies obviously are better placed and would look at this opportunity very, very closely and with a lot of interest. But along the way, there could also be some of the medium-sized companies which will now begin to see the benefit of this revival.
Mr. Raman, but if I just look at the absolute commitment towards capex, commitment towards government capex which was announced in the last budget versus this budget, the number is radically down, which just tells you that the government expenditure will be under control. Private sector does not have the appetite, balance sheet or the wherewith to start capex. Government expenditure is coming down. So indirectly the spending or the heavy lifting will be done by whom?
See, I think the PSUs would also be participating in the capex. I had mentioned earlier in another program that the cash equivalent of PSUs and the funds that they have in the balance sheet is pretty significant, and that can be used for investment. The government once again is attempting to look at divestment as a source. And if they are able to be more successful this year as compared to the last year, there could also be some funds available. But even if you go from the capital expenditure point of view, even though the growth is maybe about 2 or 3% over the revised estimate of the previous year, I think consuming that is also a fairly significant effort to just get the momentum started. I think we should not forget that we are coming from a very tepid and lackluster investment momentum. What is important is it cannot possibly in one budget completely turn the cycle. What is important is the direction should be set. The projects which are stalled, where the capex of the previous year have partly been committed, needs to be commissioned. And I think significant amount of both bank funds and the sponsors' equity are locked up in projects which are half complete. So that also you need to be taking into account when you talk about capital expenditure, because those capacities will get commissioned as well.
Mr. Shankar Raman, up until now, the general belief is that the government capex is only coming in for very specific sectors of infrastructure, namely railways as well as roads. Since such a large conglomerate like yours, L&T is present in, various sectors, be it infrastructure, roads, rails, you work with all dimensions, defense as well. Where is it that you think the government thrust is going to move after roads as well as railways? Do you think defense is going to be the eighth sector come next?
I think transmission lines and substation could be the next big one. Because I think the power that gets generated needs to be connected to the various markets. And today there is a bit of an imbalance in the transmission infrastructure when you link it to the generation capacities in the country. So my belief is that transmission distribution sector will see some investments. I also do believe water would see some investments, both because some of the large states are going the election way, and also the fact that India is water stressed. There are many parts of the country are reeling under water shortage, an acute shortage. So I think the government, I guess, as part of this rural thrust, would also start spending maybe through the state budgets on the water. And the policies enabling that also is expected to come in. Defense has always been a major ticket transaction waiting to happen. And that's also a lot of policy making outside of the budget. So we continue to remain hopeful, but it's very difficult to predict the timing and the thinking of the government around the timing. And we hope that what did not happen last year could happen in defense this year, because that will be a good and large opportunity for companies which are prepared to take advantage of that. But it is also a geopolitical issue. So there are countries involved, country to country arrangements involved, technology involved, and of course the FDI around the defense capital is concerned. So I think there are several layers there which needs to be dealt with when it comes to defense. But there are several other low-hanging fruits, I thought.
So if you have to, let's say, talk about the trajectory for L&T for next 12 to 18 months or next 12 to 18 months, out of the 3 or 4 large business verticals you're present in, which business vertical are you most optimistic about and which business vertical are you really concerned about?
Well, I think I'm optimistic about transportation infrastructure. Obviously, I think that's been receiving a lot of attention from the government as well and the funding agencies. And we talk about transportation infrastructure, I include roads as well as railways. And when I talk about railways, I include dedicated freight corridor as well as the metro. Urban transportation solutions that are being done. As I mentioned, I am also optimistic about the power sector in terms of transmission distribution, not as much on generation. With the additional cess on coal, power is going to get that much more costlier, thermal power especially. Nuclear power has been on the fringes for a while now, but there are deep issues like the civil liability and stuff like that. So until those are sorted out, I think nuclear will be on the slow burner. I am also equally bullish about the efforts that are being done to revitalize some of the tier 2, tier 3 cities. On the back of both the smart city initiatives as well as the low cost affordable housing. So those are sectors which I think will do well. Sectors which are going to be or continuing to be under stress would be the thermal power generation. The areas around minerals and metals, because of the soft commodity prices, I think there are not enough motivation to maximize output. So capacity utilization in those areas are going to be a concern. Hydrocarbon upstream is going to be a bit under weather considering the soft oil prices. Maybe we will see some investment in mid and downstream, particularly around the clean fuel program and downstream fertilizer projects. But in all, hydrocarbon would be modest. I'm not very confident about power generation and minerals and metals and the equipment that are for hydrocarbon upstream. These are 3 sectors that I don't see revival in a
Right.
6 to 12 month period.
Right. Mr. Raman, I can't help but talk about what the situation now is in the Middle East, because I remember we were chatting with your colleagues post your earnings, and that was the really alarming factor, end of the Q3 numbers. Have things stabilized there? Are you seeing an uptick now? What is the real situation?
Middle East has slowed down. I think without doubt the oil prices have taken its toll in terms of demand for new projects. So the opportunities have come down. The good news, however, is those projects which are in the infrastructure space and power transmission distribution space, they are moving forward. I mean, there has not been cancellations around those projects. But very clearly the oil and gas sector has taken a pause. We're not seeing that many number of opportunities we used to see, let's say, 3 years ago. So consequently, Middle East at the moment is a mixed bag, but we do hope that by the time Middle East completes its infrastructure investment, which is largely in the area of rail transportation and some of the urban infrastructure development in Middle East, by the time that program runs out its course, we hope India would pick up and provide the counterbalance that would be required.
Okay. When we connected with you last was along with your quarterly numbers, and that's about 30 days. 30 days is a lot of time in today's environment, both locally and globally. Has anything changed in your forward guidance, or you would like to stick to the same?
No, I don't think anything significantly has changed. As we get into the new fiscal, we hope that the direction provided the budget will translate into opportunities at ground level, because all these programs will have to be finally put in terms of bids and put out for competitive bidding, and that entire machinery which works on this takes anywhere between 0 to 6 months for all of this to get converted. So I see, as a result of the thrust for investment that the government is today speaking about, the benefits to start coming in the second half of the next fiscal. So consequently, in the immediate 0 to 6 months, I do not see any significant change on the ground.
So let me just get some closing comments from you. Last comments, literally, your stated policy is that you want to monetize value of your subsidiaries. L&T Infotech could soon see light of the day. I know the groundwork has been done. When will your subsidiary monetization go off the block? Given the market conditions, are you committed to do that in this year?
See, I think we are committed to do that for the simple reason that it has a strategic angle to it. It is just not the question of monetizing value and capturing whatever is available. If that was the perspective, then it can be completely market timed alone. Market is a factor. I think it's very important that the company gets listed well and trades well. So sentiment is important. But having said that, I think the larger purpose of listing the subsidiaries is to enable them to function with autonomy, be able to be responsible for their outcome and plans, and provide an opportunity for the entire group to manage its pieces more efficiently than what it is currently being done. So given all of that, and of course it's an important means to attract talent. So considering all these larger causes, I think the plan remains on board. The timing is something that we'll have to do it with care.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.